Well, good morning, everybody. I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to As Above, So Below, a Rune and Tarot Divination for Monday, the 9th day of May, 2022. It snowed yesterday here. I mean, it really didn't stick or anything because it was above 32. It was like 37 or something when it was snowing. But, I mean, we had little flakes, we had big flakes, we had snow pellets. It was just, just a chaotic day of weather, and I don't know. I've never had, I mean, we live 3,000 feet above sea level, so, snow is always possible here, no matter what month it is. But I have to say, I don't think I've ever remembered a Mother's Day. We've been here since 81, so I don't remember any Mother's Day that has ever been like this. So I hope your Mother's Day went well. Other than the weather, mine did. I didn't have any family around me other than my husband, but that's okay. My boys contacted me, so did one of my daughters-in-law. The other was probably up visiting her parents. But anyway, I hope everybody had a good weekend. I did some more seed planting. Some of my seeds are coming up that I've already planted. We have one of the kids' bedrooms we have turned into a seed station, basically, where we start all of our seeds for the year there. And so that's been fun, watching that stuff come up. And some of it is going to take a couple weeks, so we end up watering dirt forever. It's like, oh my God, are they ever going to come up? But they don't. Then they do, and it's like, oh. And then because I've already replanted another time, it's like, well, I just couldn't be patient, right? So anyhow, I wanted to go over the esoteric influences for Monday. That's from the esoteric influences on the blog. You can also get that in newsletter form. You can go over to the blog and scroll down a little ways, and on the left side panel, you'll see newsletter sign up. You can sign up for that, and you can always unsubscribe at any time. So anyway, there's that. I put some stuff on cosmic rays every week in it. I did a ritual there. I put that I included on the Patreon page in the correspondences for the week. I also do a version on the blog, also one over on Medium. But in the one on Patreon, I do recommendations for what you can do for each day. And there was a cool ritual I did. At least I thought it was cool anyway. So I put that in the newsletter too. So they got that one. But anyhow, the 4 posts I put up on Saturday night are up: the numerology, the correspondences, the esoteric influences, and then one thing I call the ascendant rays, nodes, and other aspects, or other strong aspects. I don't know what I do. I don't know what I call it. I change titles so frequently. I don't even know what I do half the time. But anyway, those are all up. I may do another post here this week. It just depends on how I feel. I'm hesitant to weigh into the Roe v. Wade thing because I get so upset about it. But I think I have to, about hypocrisy and trying to assert one's own religious beliefs over the masses. I mean, we've learned over millennia that doesn't work, and so I don't know what on earth these folks are thinking, but whatever. I'll probably weigh in either this week or next, so I'll let you know though when that's going to come out. But let's look at today's esoteric influences for Monday the 9th. 9 gives us a numerology of endings, completion, generosity, and spirituality. Now, this is not the same thing as a life path. That's more than just the day. It's the whole month, year, day, all that creates the life path. But anyway, and I don't put that in this. Let's see. Fehu was the rune for today on the esoteric influences. First rune of the Elder Futhark, you're looking at cattle, means cattle. But it means wealth that's movable. It also describes transaction. Sometimes relationships are purely transactional, which, in their own place, it's fine. When it's a love relationship, that's another story. It also means sending energy and magic, growth, success. Let's see. Vaya was the geomancy rune for today, meaning path or way or alignment. The sun's in Taurus, the moon's in Leo until Virgo at 3:54 p.m. And the planetary governance today, if you're working magic, is the moon. I guess on Sunday now we're going to have a full moon, and we also have a total lunar eclipse, which is supposed to be very cool. Hopefully we'll be able to see it. It says partly cloudy coming up, but hopefully that'll, you know, we can see enough of it because I want to be out there for that. So anyway, with a situation or project coming to its conclusion today, you may experience some setbacks, and others may be unwilling to provide support or assistance. Stay focused on your objective and don't allow your emotions to impact your choices today. This may actually be an opportunity to begin a new period of growth where you engage with others in a completely new manner. So don't judge it yet. So you see, we just kind of stand back and see what's really going on first. You may find that exercising some patience may eliminate further resistance, as will respecting the beliefs of others. Remain cautious in your assessment of the situation so that you learn what works and what is of little to no value in the long run. And if you need to take some time to reevaluate things further, your inner voice may provide the wisdom you've been looking for. So let's get that out of the way. So I guess what I'm I guess what I'm going to do, I'll table that. Everything's all discombobulated here because my keyboard and my mouse died. I mean, they just need to be recharged. But I wasn't paying attention, and so I had to go and get my other keyboard and my other mouse for my laptop, and which I'm using another keyboard for my laptop because I've got one letter that's coming off the keyboard. It's like, oh, geez. Anyways, but at least I had them as a backup, so I wasn't able. I was thinking, oh God, I'm gonna have to wait, and then I remember it's like, no, I got another keyboard, and I got another mouse. So anyway, today's rune is Birkenau. Birkenau is it's about healing, and it's about family and strength and bringing something to fruition. So not so much the pregnancy itself, but the birth. So what are you going to birth into creation today? It's also, did I say protection? I think I did. Fertility is another one. That would be the as above side of the reading. Now, the runes I view for this reading, if this is your first time here, welcome, by the way. I do a little chatting and do the esoteric influences. And but the thing about the runes, I do an Elder Futhark rune, that's the as above side. That's the spirit side. And then I do a Geomancy rune, which is, let me move my screen here a little bit better so I can see. My eyes look like they're going off to one side. The Geomancy rune would be the so below side, or the personality or ego side of things. So we look at things in terms of wholeness and not just either or. So let me get these in order. They have to go in the order of fire, air, water, and earth. And then we'll pull out the, oh, well, how about that? It's conjunctio. Let's find conjunctio in the little bowl here so I can show you what that looks like. Oh, where in the heck are you? Oh, the very last one I turned over. Looks like a little hourglass. It's unity or joining, union. It can also mean an agreement. And what was it for today? Yeah, Vaya is another one, very similar pathway and alignment. So in a sense, today's esoteric influences are that Geomancy rune is kind of aligning a little bit with conjunctio. It's just defining that path further as unity or joining with other people. And again, you know, with all the upset right now over I mean, can you believe? Well, anyway, I'm not going to, we'll talk about that another time. Maybe I'll do just a video or something and do a rant. I'm not going to take that time here. But basically, you know, with Birkenau and family, you're talking about a level of unity there too. Unity of purpose, in a sense. And so you can draw your own conclusions about what that's about. But I think that energetically throughout the country, we've got a groundswell that's not just slowly building. It's combustible. It's not. It doesn't have. It's been laying there waiting. because we've all known what they're going to try and do to us. So anyway, I said I wouldn't do that. See, and there I go. Well, you know. So I'm going to go ahead here and cut the cards. Now, with the runes, that I think I said this, but maybe if I didn't say it completely, I view those as a significator for the reading, so it's kind of the focus of it. And then the cards just give us, you know, some more details about what that is. Let's just go ahead and cut the cards, and we'll work with the lower deck. And I'm going to take 3 cards, and if I need more, I'll take them. I don't usually do any more than 5, and typically it's only just 1. Well, we have let's see, we have 2 cards from Wands, so the fire element. Fire is about growth and vitality and creation and manifestation. It's about the will, manifestation of the will, or expressions of will. We have the 2 of Wands. We also have the Page of Cups and the Queen of Wands. We may take a 3rd card or a 4th card here, but we'll see. This may be enough today. But let's talk about the 2 first. Here we have a man of means. He's up high on the top of the castle. We see, I think that these are grapes. I'm always given to say that they're pomegranates, but with the leaves around them, I think they're grapes. We've got grapes and lilies. So what we have here, he's holding a globe in one hand, a staff in the other. Another staff is affixed to the wall here. You see him looking out over the water. He's sort of making a decision here. 2s are about decisions, about love, compassion, reciprocity, balance, all of that. But it's also about making decisions, kind of the either or of things. So he's kind of weighing out. He's got the world in his hand, and he's trying to figure out, okay, where am I going to go? This is really signaling abundance and also newness, new opportunity. So he's trying to figure out, what opportunities am I going to engage in now? Where am I going to go with my life? Where am I going to go with my work? Typically, well, again, it's about making a choice in that regard, about what decision do you need to make today that is going to shape your future, essentially. So again, you know, you can think of this any way you want. The next one we have is the Page of Cups. Now, pages are, I said this last week because I think we had the Page of Cups last week, or it was the week before, but recently we had it. And I kind of decided that the fish coming out of the chalice is a salmon, only because you've got salmon colors on him there, on his leggings and on his shirt underneath this tunic he's got on. You see water in the background. Cups is a water element, by the way. It's not calm. It's kind of doing this. And so you kind of see the ebb and flow of emotion with this. You see the line of demarcation right there. I'll get up real close. You can see that dual line. Sometimes the lines are a little darker than they are here. But he's standing on the sand. Theoretically firmer ground. But even with that, there's an element of change even with the sand. But he's holding that chalice out in offering while the fish sticks its head out and says, hi. But he's also looking toward the past. And I look at this one, and to me there's some level of honor for what has been. And again, you can think of that any way you want. Precedent, settled law, anyway. But the Page of Cups denotes discretion, imagination, a loving young person, confidence, grace. But I think that there's also, with the page, a sense of newness, and that's going to align well with Birkenau and the bringing something to fruition or new beginnings or what have you, because those are elements, of course, of Birkenau. And again, that's also evident in the 2, because he's looking for something new, a new opportunity, something new to unfold. Again, paying homage to the past as well, because he's looking in that direction. So bringing his experience into that decision and all of that. He's not like he's up there and he has nothing to work with. He has all kinds of ideas, I'm sure. But a lot of them are based on past experience or past belief structure or what have you. But with the page, I said this before about it. In fact, I usually do every time. I see that, even though it's part of the minor arcana, it's the beginning of the court. Just as the ace is the beginning of each suit, just as the fool is the beginning of the major arcana, there's an element of undeveloped potential here. So nothing is settled. There's always movement with water. There's always movement, momentum, all of that. Change is all part of that. But there has to be some agreement, and again, conjunctio could be part of that. What are we agreeing on here? What is this guy agreeing on to do in terms of his new opportunities or new goals in life or what have you? What kind of imagination are we going to use? Are we going to be rooted in some guy, some lawyer or jurist or whatever from the 16th century, 17th century, whenever he was, to say, oh, well, women are just property of men, basically, and women, once you're married, that's it, you have no say-so in your life anymore. Well, no. So that brings us to the Queen of Wands. Now, I like the queens. I don't care for the kings, but I do. Well, maybe the King of Pentacles, maybe. Probably of any of them, I like him. But even he's kind of, he can go either way, right? I mean, he's either going to, kings are more, you really see that dynamic of service to self versus service to others in a king. That's just my view. They're either going to be thinking about themselves or they're going to be thinking about their kingdom. I don't really see any middle ground with them. But again, that's just me. But here you have the Queen of Wands. Excuse me. There's her cat. Her familiar. The queens are talented witches. They are, all of them. This queen is very dynamic, being the Queen of Wands. She's strict, she's generous, she's talented, she's successful. Obviously, she's an older woman, as opposed to the page, which can also be a princess. It depends on the deck. I mean, your non-traditional decks are going to show your hermetic ones. I think Crowley's Thoth deck does. There's, I think, another hermetic deck that I have that shows this not as the page, but the princess. And then the knight would be the prince, if that's the case. But here you have somebody that she's very powerful. She's got a lot of strength to her. You see the lions here. You see the lions up here in her, and also the Ouroboros above. You can barely see those. You see the sunflowers here, Slavy Ukraini. You see them here. Now the sunflower, again, is also about something new. It's about bringing new beginnings. It's vitality. It's the sun returning, basically. But she's an older woman in authority. Now, she's not afraid to look to the future. Whereas, the guys are kind of looking to the past. But she's not afraid to look to the future with her strength and her resolve and her dignity and her cat. You see over here, I believe these are, I got a feeling these are the rendition of the pyramids. Usually you'll see pyramids in the court in the suit of wands. You'll see that, like with the knight, you'll see pyramids. And I think that's what those are, but I suppose someone might debate me on that. But to me, it suggests that there's an element of especially an older female perspective, and it's not to say anything about younger women's perspective, because maybe their wise mentors have said how things were and how things are now, and the worries about going back to the Dark Ages. So although experience is important in any decision that you make in terms of where you're going with your future, there has to be some kind of an agreement. There has to be, there's a level of oneness or unity in both Birkenau and Conjunctio, the unity of the family with Birkenau. But again, Birkenau is going to align well with the Queen of Wands. It's the mother rune, basically, is what it is. And I think that you could either look at this in terms of women joining together, or especially with what's going on now, but you see, it isn't just about women joining together. It's about men joining with women together in service to the truth, in service to respect for women's autonomy and all of that. So I mean, maybe this is forcing me to talk about this. I don't know. But I think that if we try to get out of that mindset here for just a moment, some new opportunities coming our way today, and we have to make a decision about what that's going to be. We can approach things with imagination, with compassion, with love, with I mean, the birth of something that's maybe a new level of unity with people coming together in single-minded purpose. And again, it's just going to depend on what that is for you. You know, you're either going to be on one side of this equation if we're talking about what's happening in the country, or you're going to be on the other. And wherever you are, we need to be strong in whatever belief we have, I guess, and let the truth, you know, settle it out, not the imagination of one man or a group of men and one woman on a Supreme Court. It's just not workable. So I think that we need our inner strength to carry us through, irrespective of what this is about. The decision that is really bringing in the maybe consulting an older woman in authority, or that you perceive to be an authority, or someone. I mean, the authority part is kind of not really necessary. It's about who do you regard, whose opinion do you regard, and what kind of perspective do you want to get from that person to sort of inform what the decisions that you have to make about something. So if you want to just keep it purely about that, you know, again, imagination is involved, not being afraid to try something new in terms of the decision that you have to make today. And again, maybe you need to consult with someone, a woman in your life, you know, your mother, an aunt, an older woman, you know, that maybe can give you a different perspective on things. One that maybe is a little more realistic, maybe. One that takes into account the bigger picture of things. When you narrow down your possibilities with the two, that's always a risk there with the two of wands. Are you just simply going to look at, you know, this or that, or are you going to realize that there's a whole bunch of stuff you could be thinking about, and maybe you're afraid to take that risk? Well, to use the imagination to consider other possibilities, you know, to have that, you know, to be gentle on yourself and not be so, you know, it can only be these two things or these three things or whatever. I can't possibly consider that other thing. Well, I think the Page of Cups is suggesting that you can. You know, the idea of bringing something to fruition with Birkenau, I think also brings that idea into it, that you can consider other possibilities today and see where they take you. I'm going to do one more card, I think. So let me cut the deck. I'm going to do the 13th card. Well, here's a real decision maker for you. But the idea is to do it dispassionately. Here you have the woman in the, well, it's usually a white gown, but in this particular version of the Rider-Waite deck, it's more grayish blue. She's holding her arms crossed. She's holding swords in each hand. You see the maiden moon, which again is a little bit before Birkenau. Birkenau would be the mother of Maiden, Mother, and Crone. But she's in alignment with her own self here. She's turned her back to the emotion. The water isn't really smooth, but it's smoother than it is here. And but at the end of the day, she's blindfolded, and she's turning her back to emotions, and so the decision that she has to make has to be dispassionate. You've got to get the emotion out of it, and you've got to see things from a realistic perspective. So whatever new endeavors that are coming your way, let me check this here. Well, we had a 9 energy today with a situation or project coming to its conclusion. Again, maybe it's time to think about something new. It could have something to do with the esoteric influences for today. It could have something to do with whatever issues maybe coming in to try to, I don't know, upset the apple cart maybe. And so you have to stay objective. And I think that that's probably brought in by this too. So once again, we're going to have bookends of 2s. I think we had that last week maybe, or week before, where we had 2 on one end and 2 on the other. But it wasn't on a 4-card reading. It was just on a 3. And when I see them like that, I like to leave them there because I think that there's value in that. Otherwise, you can move your cards around. You can do whatever you want to with them. But here, so this gives a reading of 4 energy. And a 4 energy is going to be, that numerology is going to be about structure and foundation. So a lot of this, I think, has to do, again, Birkenau is the same thing. Conjunctio could mean the same thing. Is your foundation based on unity with others, with joining together and understanding the fundamental unity of everything, the wholeness of everything? And I think that in terms of a decision, you've got both with fire and swords, you've got will and intellect here. So you want the 2 of those to be in balance. You want whatever it is you're trying to pursue, you want to do it realistically, but also with the ability to use some imagination in it and to take a little bit of risk. Swords can also indicate risk, so that actually reinforces the idea of someone who's a bit of a risk taker, with the Page of Cups, who's willing to consider the possibilities to consider change as being okay, and then to look to someone, either the inner authority that you have, especially if you're somebody older, but at least talking to somebody, a woman in your life that may have a perspective that you didn't consider before. So if you're on the fence about one thing or another, it could be that, again, about what's going on in our country. If you're on the fence about that, talk to your mother, talk to your grandmother, talk to an aunt, talk to an older person and find out what they think, find out what life was like, find out how they feel about what's going on. It may surprise you. It might give you some idea about the decision you have to make in terms of how you feel about things. But if this is purely about, say, something work-related or career-related or something like that, where you're trying to pursue a new opportunity, one is coming to an end, it's time to make a decision about something else to do, then I think that the decision that you have to make, although ultimately it's going to be either this or that, there's going to be that element to it. I think that you have to be willing to use some imagination, to take some risk, but at the same time, and to consult somebody else if you need to, suggesting that you should, to give you a little bit of perspective about, well, what's really at stake here? Are you thinking about everything that you need to be thinking about? You talk to somebody older, they've got a whole lot more experience than you have, and there could be something you're thinking about, and they've had experience with it. So to talk to somebody older is always a good idea to do. Ultimately, you may still choose to do something that they don't recommend, or whatever, or they do recommend. You might just decide to do something else, but it's getting that other perspective of more experience. Even if you don't think about it in terms of somebody older, you could think about it in terms of someone with more experience. And then from there, the 2 of Swords is reminding us that whatever we do, we've got to get the emotion out of it. Imagination doesn't necessarily mean emotion. It means the willingness to think about things we haven't thought of before. So, even though it's part of the water, even though the Page of Cups is part of the water element, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's all just emotions, you know, everywhere. So I think that the Two of Swords is really just saying, look, whatever you're doing today, don't be afraid to consider a lot of possibilities. Don't be afraid to talk to somebody with more experience. But at the end of the day, you're going to have to make whatever decision you make about your future in a very dispassionate way, where you're getting the emotion out of it. You're getting, you know, all of the external stuff out of it, and you just zero in on what's best here. And what's going to be best for myself, or if you have a family, what's best for the family. There has to be all of that. You know, you might really want to do something, but it doesn't work for your family, in other words. So if you can't find a way to do that in a way that benefits your family, then, you know, you have to have the willingness to set emotion aside, set the will aside, and decide something from a dispassionate view. So I think that's it, and apologies for digressing a bit, but I'm a little upset. So anyway, thanks for watching, and come back again on Thursday for another edition of As Above, So Below. Have a good day, have a good week, and be good to yourself, be good to one another, and blessed be.